Boycotts are booming. Grassroots groups are taking aim at corporate greed and the rollback of DEI initiatives using their wallets. The strategy: fewer shoppers, less sales, and more pressure. But is it working? Here's what we know now. Are consumer boycotts hitting corporations where it hurts?
There's been a mixed bag of results for these boycotts. Target stock has definitely plummeted. On January 21st, the stock price was at $137.91. It has gone as low as about $88.76, roughly 35.6% lower. In some cases, some data has been showing that the sales or the traffic has been steady or even increased.
How are corporations responding to the wave of boycotts?
So for the most part, many of the companies have been pretty silent. Amazon has declined comment each time. The Target CEO actually sent an internal memo to his staff saying that he recognized that the silence that Target has had and not commenting at all about these boycotts also gives, some uncertainty.
Could there be a tipping point coming in the fight for corporate DEI?
So it remains to be seen whether or not these businesses and retailers are going to actually make a change that the consumers want. So far, they haven't. The Target CEO in April called for a meeting with Al Sharpton, founder and president of the National Action Network, as well as the Reverend Jamal Harrison Bryant, the faith leader who's been leading the Target fast. But there hasn't been any decision made or any policies that have changed since then.
This bear knows how to pose for his fans. Park rangers in Colorado use this camera to monitor wildlife. Well, this bear apparently had its own agenda, maybe for a new profile picture. Out of the 580 photos captured, about 400 were bear selfies. Move over Kim Kardashian.
I absolutely think that this policy change risks increasing body shame. We already know that plus size passengers are, verbally harassed, are videotaped, are sometimes even physically assaulted on flights.
Southwest Airlines is changing a long-standing policy for plus size travelers. For years, quote, customers of size were encouraged to buy 2 seats, then apply for a refund after their trip, a process that had fewer restrictions on when refunds would be provided. But starting January 27th, refunds will only be granted if 3 conditions are met. The flight must depart with at least 1 open seat, both seats must be in the same fare class, and refund requests must be filed within 90 days of travel.
The refund policy is going to be so much more restricted to you only being able to get a refund for your second seat if the flight was not full, which many Southwest flights are full. This is not a policy that was bankrupting Southwest and therefore they've changed it. It's part of their, whole package of sort of nickeling and diming customers more.
The updated policy goes into effect the same day the airline switches to assigned seating on all of its flights.
The question always comes down to, do you believe that people who are traveling by plane are paying for passage from point A to point B, or do you believe that they're paying for butt space? Southwest was the best thing that we had for somebody who either couldn't afford to pay for a second seat up front, or who could afford to pay for a second seat up front, but really needed to get that money back. Now you just are paying 2 fares to go to one place.
When Micah, her new guardian, came to see the dogs that we had available, he really took to Bailey. Micah was committed. He did everything I asked him to do. It was meant to be. And then when Micah called and said that Bailey had gotten out, we were like, that darn dog. He chased her for 2 miles and she got out of his sight. That's when he let us know that Bailey's on the loose. If anybody spots her, we put her on every social media outlet that we could probably get her picture on. Everybody was texting us, sending us messages. Bailey's on this street, boom, we take off. Somebody's going over there to check to see if they could find her. Every little place that she's showing up is getting closer and closer to the shelter. I told one of the ladies that was out looking for her, she's on her way back to the shelter. And she goes, oh, Loretta, you're crazy. I'll be darned, at 1:42 in the morning, she's ringing the doorbell. And then when they said, Bailey, she went, boom, up to the camera. I'm here, let me in, where are you? 3 days without food and water. I mean, she was making up for her rest. So we called Micah just as soon as we got here and let him know that Bailey was safe. Some dogs are smarter than we give them credit for. How the heck did she know how to go 10 miles back to the shelter? It's a happy ending. Why not give, kudos to Bailey for being so smart, for Micah loving her so much, and for, I guess, just letting people know that not all shelters are bad.
Just like fashion trends and music styles, toy fads have their season and even their decade.
They come into our existence and then they flash out just as fast.
Barney the Dinosaur premiered on PBS in 1992, grabbing the attention of children and even parents worldwide.
It seems to be some combination of something that is simple enough to capture the attention of whatever age group is interested in it, but has enough depth or something interesting and hooky that it gets the parents interested in buying it. It was a simple message in terms of the benefits of friendship and things like that. It was catchy. They did manage to find a really good catchy tune, and you could sing the song. Like, small children love repetition. That's something that psychologically they've shown is that children love anything that can repeat.
18 years later, in 2010, it was an extinction of sorts for the Purple Dinosaur and his crew when the show was canceled. But the kids of the 90s never forgot.
When you watched Barney when you were older, you were like, oh yeah, I remember this, and you could sit down and it was exactly how you remembered it when you were smaller. The people that were the target age group for Barney are getting into the decision-making groups. Hey, I liked this. Why wouldn't we want to try to make this happen again? You notice it's not the same style. It's CGI, not a person. So they're bringing it into the modern age. We are always going to see cycles in everything. You can never really predict which one is going to be popular. So if you find one, ride the wave as long as you can.
Look up here. We decided that in the 33 years we've been together, we have both been exposed to a lot of ignorance and bigotry and closed-mindedness, and we weren't always able to do something about it. But we decided that we could do something about this, and so we did. We realized in these last few days since we adopted him that people are really craving stories with real heroes and happy endings. And this is one of those. We're not the heroes, though. The heroes are the lady at the shelter who talked the guy into giving the dog up instead of killing him. The people at the local ASPCA who have paid for most of his health care and organized getting him to us. These people deal with this situation every day. All we did was adopt a dog.
My name is Billy Stonewall Burt. People call me Stoney for short.
Stony Burt is the son of Billy Sunday Burt, the notorious ringleader of the so-called Dixie Mafia.
The things he done that were so terrible, I'm aware of it. As it was going on, I gleaned it when he didn't know I did.
Billy Sunday Burt was found guilty of 3 murders in the early 1970s, but Stoney says he's responsible for dozens of others.
Law say they know of 56, you're here 52. They don't know anything except what somebody tells them.
The Dixie Mafia was said to have been a disorganized ragtag band of criminals, primarily led by Billy Sunday Burt.
What they were was a group of his handpicked from the years of 1962 to 1966, guys of 9 that he used to rob places, banks, jewelry stores, armories, any place that had big money.
The common thread that linked the group primarily revolved around the illegal sale of liquor. Stoney now runs his own distillery in Winder, Georgia. However, unlike his father, he runs his business within the law. He believes there are still unsolved crimes that may be linked to his dad and the Dixie Mafia.
Investigators are now confident calling this cold case closed.
Most recently, a 50-year-old triple murder cold case in North Carolina was pinned to the group. That's according to the Watauga County Sheriff's Office.
Bryce, Virginia, and their son Bobby all found tied up and dunked in a bathtub.
Local news outlets in North Carolina reported on how one of the suspects in that triple murder was caught decades later.
They tracked him down after getting a tip from the son of another suspect who remembered his dad talking about killing 3 people in the North Carolina mountains.
While on death row, Billy Sunday Burke detailed the mysteries of his past onto paper.
Still on death row, they don't let you crochet. He'd take a picture and he'd crochet a picture with per frame, he'd send it home. Well, sitting on my draft table there 23 years later, my son hit it right. And I said, that looked like something behind it. Now, I got to picking at it, and he locked them in the way it crochet. And I be damn, it was a letter, short letter to Stone, if he ever found it. And on the back was a map. Right there were well-known roads and some X's.
According to Stoney, the maps hidden in the frames crocheted by his father in prison supposedly showed where bodies had been buried. His father died in prison in 2017, leaving many questions unanswered.
I've always wanted to be him, except the hurting people. I've never measured up, won't never. I'd want any young person to know that there's no good end comes from wanting to be a gangster.
Deep in the heartland of Montana sits one of America's majestic treasures. Glacier National Park is breathing with life. Named after massive ice fields that formed in the Ice Age, the park once had 80 of them. By 2015, it was down to only 26, and they are ever changing. There are more than 700 lakes, at least 150 mountains, on over 1 million acres of land.
Some of the most pristine rivers and lakes in the country, and the ruggedness of Glacier National Park is what makes people want to come here.
On average, nearly 3 million visitors a year pack into the park to witness its present, but also learn about the park's very important past. Jenna Kurzman joined Glacier a few years ago, but has spent her entire life working to protect the land of her ancestors. She's a member of the Blackfeet Indian Nation, which historically calls parts of Glacier their home.
This is a very sacred place for the Blackfeet people. The area that's now known as Glacier National Park was used traditionally by Indian tribes who used it for hunting, fishing, gathering.
As resources became depleted, the tribes eventually signed treaties that would increasingly confine Native people to reservations. In 1895, the Blackfeet people agreed to sell their lands to the United States government. And 15 years later, President William Taft signed a bill establishing Glacier as the country's 10th national park. Today, the Blackfeet Indian Reservation, which shares Glacier's eastern border, is home to more than 17,000 tribal members that see Glacier for more than just its sights and sounds.
To me, Glacier National Park is medicine. And what I mean by that is it feeds not only the plants that are medicine to us internally, but it feeds our soul.
About 350 different species of wildlife call this land home.
This is the wilderness, and they do what they like, and this is their territory.
From grazing bighorn sheep at the Goat Lick Overlook to wandering bears by the river, Kurzman says there's always something lurking around every corner.
If you really want to see Glacier, you have to get out of your car and hike, and that's where you find the solitude.
By foot, visitors can explore 700 miles worth of trails, and if you're ready to rest your feet, you'll like what's in store next.
You can take a horseback guided tour, boat tours on a few of our lakes here. It's just pick your own adventure at your speed.
No rush, but Kurzman says when you arrive, you'll know exactly why this place leaves a mark on every adventurer.
There is a sense of awe. There's this feeling that you get that you can't quite explain, that it makes you feel like there has been a part of you missing that you have finally found when you enter Glacier National Park.